Hello there, my name is Hido and welcome to the Pantheon, where today we're going to be diving into one of my favourite characters from Smash Brothers. That's right, it's Ness. No, it's Falco, Spara, Pactweaver. So it's Bant and a generic for a 3/3 bird demon with flying and trample. It enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it, so that'll protect you from damage or being destroyed for the first time. So acts as sort of an enchantment, it's going to stick around on the field for a little while. Then you may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast spells from the top of your library by removing a counter from a creature you control in addition to paying its other costs. So this allows us to keep churning through our deck, making sure that we're playing off the top. It's essentially giving us an extra card in hand. And yes, lands are going to get in the way, but spells, we can cast them no problem at all. So really quite a cool card. Plus it's a demon. Never thought you'd see a white demon, did you? So that's cool. Do you know what else is cool? This channel. Come and join me. We're going to be making tons of lovely videos. So subscribe, and we're going to delve deeper and deeper into Magic's wonderful past. And with that, let's have a look at my number 5 pick. So we want to be casting creatures from the top, which have counters, and one of the best sort of counters, excuse me, is, well, it's cumulative upkeep, and Survivor of the Unseen is a fantastic include. 3 mana for a 2/1 cumulative upkeep of 2. So at the beginning of your upkeep, put an age counter on this permanent, then sacrifice it unless you pay its upkeep cost for each age counter on it. So first upkeep, we're going to have to pay 2. We get an age counter, but we can remove that age counter to cast our spells. And this card's ability works fantastically with our commander. Tap, draw 2 cards, then put a card from your hand on top of your library. So it's card advantage. We're going to be drawing those 2 cards and then putting something we want to cast back on top. And this is for just 2 cumulative upkeep every single upkeep. It just fits perfectly. Wonderful little common. Really highly recommend it. Then if we're talking about cumulative upkeep, Sheltering Ancient is phenomenal. 2 mana 5/5 tree folk with trample. Cumulative upkeep, put a 1/1 counter on a creature an opponent controls. Who really cares? We're just going to be buffing up one of our opponent's creatures, but guess what? We're going to get those counters so we can cast off the top of our library. And it's just 2 mana, so easily this can come out before our commander comes down, build up a couple of counters, and then we're always going to be able to cast things off the top. Then there's the Wall of Shards, very similar sort of deal. 2 mana for a 1/8, so get it out early. Defend up with flank, and the cumulative upkeep is an even less sort of barrier for entry. It's an even smaller barrier for entry. That's how you'd say it if you were English. You gain, and an opponent gains 1 life. What does that matter? It really doesn't matter, because this deck, I see it sort of gearing towards being a combo finish for things that are going to come up on the list. So this is a wonderful card for getting those age counters on. Really minimal. Finally, we've got Jotun Grunt, another 2 mana card, 4/4 Giant Soldier. And this is actually a really nice card because the cumulative upkeep, put 2 cards from a single graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. Really nice bit of graveyard hate. If you're playing against a reanimator deck, putting those cards on the bottom is essentially the same as exiling them, and then you're just getting muchos value. Really great. And it's a 2 mana 4/4, so along with Sheltering Ancient, you've got some nice beaters. The Survivor, wonderful. Really great for planning ahead, putting things on top, and getting those counters. Lovely selection there. And that takes me on to number 4. So what have we got at number 4? We've got Rasputin Dreamweaver, another couple of cards which generate their own tokens. I love this commander. I played it for quite a while, and then I sold it for like 50 quid, and it's now worth 250. What a buffoon I am. But who could have really predicted it? 6 mana, 1/1 Human Wizard. What a stat line it is. It ends the battlefield with 7 dream counters upon it. So we can remove those dream counters to cast things off the top of our library, or we can remove a dream counter to add 1 generic to our mana pool. So it pays 6, you get 7 mana. Ooh, incredible. But If you want to get jiggy with Rasputin, you can also remove a dream counter to prevent 1 damage that would be dealt to Rasputin. So if you're attacking, they block with a 4/4, you can remove 4 counters to prevent that 4 damage, and this kills it. There's so many different interesting ways to use him. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if it started the turn untapped, put a dream counter on it. Rasputin can't have more than 7 dream counters on it. Okay, so another great way of getting counters repeatedly. So extra mana each turn, or an extra cast off the top of our library. Very, very good card for the deck. Then we've got Arcus Acolyte, 2 mana, 2/2. Reach Lifelink with Outlast. So Outlast, you can either pay a green or a white and tap it to put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Outlast only is a sorcery, so a good repeatable way of getting our creatures outlasted, and a constant counter there to remove. Each other creature you control without a 1/1 counter has Outlast for a green or white. So all of our other creatures, we're very much focusing not on 1/1 counters. So this allows us to put the counters on and then remove them to cast things. Really, really great card. Then we got Macace the Lunac. I did say we weren't focusing on +1/+1 counters, but this card is just too good not to use. It's a Hydra human. It's a white and X for a 0/0. Enter the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. And we can tap to put a 1/1 counter on it. So a great way of sort of getting more counters. Or we can remove a 1/1 counter from this to put 1/1 counter on each other creature we control. I control. You control. If you're playing the deck, you're controlling it. Control your life. So this is great. Just spreading the counters out. Really, really good. Generates tons of value. Then we got the Baronton Medic. 5 mana for a 0/4. Jesus Christ, that's a bad stat line. But you can tap to prevent the next 1 damage dealt to target creature or player, and put a -1/-1 counter on it to untap it. So a repeated way of sort of saving our creatures, very similar to Rasputin. But that ability to put the -1/-1 counter on just to untap it, you can even use it if it's untapped. So we can just constantly get those counters on it so that we can use it to cast our spells. Then there's the Crystalline Crawler. Really good in a 3-color deck, but better in a 4-color deck. 4 generic, sort of 1/1. Converge. So it enters the battlefield 1/1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. Remove a 1/1 counter from it to add a mana, or you can tap it to put a counter on it. So there we go, another way of generating lots of 1/1 counters. Then we can remove it either to cast the spells from the top of our library, or to make mana to cast spells from the top of our library. So you see where I'm going there. Then there's Experiment 1, another interesting way of getting counters. I did say I wasn't focusing on 1/1 counters, but it seems I was lying completely. 1/1 Human Ooze. It's a 1/1 with Evolve, so whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if the creature has greater power or toughness, this creature, put a 1/1 counter on it. And we can remove 2 1/1 counters to regenerate it, or of course, cast things from the top. So the really cool thing is, if we're casting spells constantly or removing to regenerate, it's going to keep making it smaller, so every time another creature comes in, we're going to get another counter. Very nice. Then, to finish off, we've got the Defiant Greatmaw, a hippo. 3 mana for a 4/5 and enters the battlefield with 2 -1/-1 counters on it. Whenever you put 1 or more -1/-1 counters on Defiant Hippo, remove a -1/-1 counter from target creature you control. So if you really want to lean into the -1/-1 counters, this could be a game player. And, you know, it's 2 counters for 3 mana. And it's a creature, so, you know, we can use it to cast spells. And then we've got a menacing 4/5. By God. Really, really nice. So an interesting selection of ways to get counters onto our creatures. Not focusing on +1/+1 counters, of course, as I've lied to you. Then let's have a look at number 3. And at number 3, we've got more +1/+1 counters. I'm just a liar. But this is a really interesting use case. Amass is a great mechanic. 2 mana for Lazotep Plating. It's an instant with Amass 1. So we put a 1/1 counter on an army you control. If you don't control one, create a 0/0 and put the 1/1 counter on it. So it's generating a token that has a counter on it. Then you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Really wonderful bit of protection. Hexproof, phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. Targeted removal is a menace. Yes, it's not as good as Indestructible maybe, but this is blue and it gives you so much protection. And it generates that 1/1 counter so you can cast another spell. Then we've got Callous Dismissal, 2 mana, sorcery, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, amass 1. So again, a great way of just cycling through the deck, getting a good effect on our turn, bouncing something always powerful. Maybe it's a 7 mana Planeswalker, maybe it's an Ugin, something like that. But we could also bounce our own creatures or anything else on the field. So if we're, really wanting to get some counters back on a Crystalline Crawler or something like that, it's got 0 on it, bounce it back, recast it. We've got loads of counters, loads more mana. So many use cases, and it amasses. Then we've got Commence the Endgame. 6 mana for an instant, spell can't be countered. Draw 2 cards and then amass X, where X is the number of cards in your hand. Yes, we're going to be playing off the top of our library quite a lot, but we're playing blue. Our cards should be flowing out of our hand. And we're playing green, to be fair, so there's literally no excuse. Although white is obviously trash, but it should, outweigh it. So you should have a lot of cards in your hand. So you could end up with a 7/7 army. That's 7 counters. That's 7 spells off the top of our library. Ooh, phenomenal. So nice bit of board presence there. Then to finish off, we've got the worst card. It's Crush Descent. 4 mana for an instant counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Now, a 4 mana counter spell isn't good to start with, and then it might not actually counter it. If they got 2 mana, sorry about that. They're just going to say, I'll pay the 2 mana. But it amasses 2, so it fits in with the theme of the deck. The artwork's sort of nice, Nice blue man. Blue man group. There you go. That's what you could sort of call this section. Hey, hilarious. Really, really good cards. But let's have a look at number 2, because I think there's better cards. Congregation of Dawn being one of them. I have always loved this card. 3 mana for an instant, search your library for up to 3 creature cards and reveal them. Shuffle your library and put those cards on top of it in any order. So we're going to be playing off the top. 3 mana to ensure the next 3 cards are castable. Ooh, phenomenal. And potentially you could get, some kind of combination maybe, Maybe you want to Deadeye Navigator, Peregrine Drake, something like that. This sets it up and allows you to cast it off the top straight away. Oh, I love it. The artwork's great as well. Look at that Dryad, the sun's behind him. Ah, brilliant. Brilliant card. Then a different way of getting things onto the top is How To Honored Physician. Sorry if I've butchered that completely. 3 mana for a 1/2 human. Tap, put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Activate this ability only during your turn and before attackers are declared. Okay, so you can't do it at instant speed. But being able to rebuy something that's died, maybe you're playing a lot of Hydras in this deck, and when you've removed all the counters from casting them, well, you can get that Hydra back on the top of your library and recast it. There you go. Your wonderful use case there. It's a really cool card and, works well. Then we got the Dream Cache. 3 mana. Dream Cast. Hey! Play your Sonic Adventure. 3 mana for a sorcery. Draw 3 cards and put 2 cards from your hand, both on top of your library or both on bottom of your library. Fantastic. And because of our commander, this is essentially drawing us 3 cards outright. And, worst comes to the worst, you put them on the bottom because they're absolute trash. Like I said before, you're going to end up with lands on the top of your library, and this could just sift them out, and then you can keep digging through the deck. Then another great way of sifting through all the lands and setting up the top of your library is Mystic Speculation. 1 blue for a sorcery with buyback for 2, so as additional cost you pay 2, and it goes back to your hand. Scry 3. Scry is wonderful. You're choosing what's on top, what's on bottom. Oh, so much value and works perfectly in this style of deck. Then we've got Kasmina Enigma Sage. 3 mana for a 2 loyalty Planeswalker. You might want to go heavily into Planeswalkers, but remember, Falco only removes counters from creatures. So how does this commander help? This Planeswalker help? So +2, scry 1. Okay, can dig through. This is a land. Get it to the bottom. But then -X, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. puts X 1/1 counters on it. So if we keep ticking up, then we can tick down and, like the amass before it, make a massive token with lots of counters so we can dig. But if you're going heavily into Planeswalkers, the -8 is where you want to be. -8. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card that shares a colour with this Planeswalker. Exile that card and shuffle it. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Ooh, that's quite interesting. And the reason that's so cool is because of a static. Each other Planeswalker you control has loyalty abilities of Kasmina. So every one of your Planeswalkers can make creatures that give tokens, every one of them can scry, and every one of them can just outright win the game with that last ability. So wonderful, wonderful card. Then, if we're talking about manipulating the top, I love Brutalizer Exarch. 6 mana, 3/3, so it's a heavy investment, but when it enters the battlefield, choose one. Search your library for a creature card, reveal it, shuffle your library, and put that card on top of it. Sets you up perfectly to cast it, doesn't it? Or put target non-creature permanent on the bottom of its owner's library. Absolutely wonderful removal for anything that you could sort of imagine. And if you want to go into a flicker deck, because counters do work well with flickers, if creatures enter with counters, you know, flicker it comes back, we've got more counters, hooray! And this is a wonderful card to see in a flicker deck. And to finish off, we've got Boon of Safety. 1 white for an instant, put a shield counter on target creature, and scry 1. Does everything this commander wants. Protection, digging, it's only 1 white, so, you know, it's not a big investment. Just nice to see. I love to see it, Deirdre. It's great. But all of these cards, wonderful for manipulating the top of your deck. And that takes me on to number 7, or 1, or an upside down V. I don't know why I chose this font for Bant, but I don't know, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Anyway, at number 1, I talked a bit earlier about combos. So, Sensei's Divining Top is one of the best combo enablers in this deck. It's insane. So 1 generic for an artifact. Pay 1, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Ooh, manipulating the top of your deck. Is that something we want to do? Yes. Then tap, draw a card to put it on top of its owner's library. So this is incredible for a myriad of reasons. I'll just go through a few. It costs 1 mana. It goes to the top of your library. You can play it from the top of your library. It can rearrange the top of your library. The top of your library. The top is on your library. This is just so powerful, especially if we pair it with Devoted Druid. 2 mana, 0/2 Elf Druid. Very similar to that 5 mana, 0/4, where you could put -1/-1 counters on it. However, it's 2 mana, and it untaps it. So, what you can do with Sensei's Divining Top and Devoted Druid, tap this for a green, cast Divining Top off the top. Untap, you know, then you can make another mana. So, we've got a -1/-1 counter on it. We tap Divining Top to draw a card, then we cast the Divining Top at the top. Oh, guess what? We can draw our entire library. Oh, okay. So, all those cards that search up creatures, Devoted Druid is one of the best. It's going to generate so much mana. Even if you're not using it in this combo potential, it's just one of the best cards in the deck. Then, well, if we draw our entire library, Laboratory Maniac is where we want to be. 3 mana, 2/2 Human Wizard. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. Ooh. Oh dear, I've won. Sorry everyone. But this is just a phenomenal way to end the game if you really want to end the game. But there's better ways to do it. Thassa's Oracle, it got printed. I didn't read it for a while because there's too much text. But if you do read it, and I think a lot of you have at this point, by God, is this powerful. So into the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. This is 2 blue, 2 devotion up there. Look at it up there. Put one of the top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. Oh no. But this is just incredible. So not only does it work with digging through your deck and setting at the top, if you just want to cast it casually, if you've drawn your entire deck, it can easily just outright win you the game. It's just dumb. It's too good. Like, let's be honest. Then there's Approach of the Second Sun. I've just noticed I'm a bit low down here. Let's you raise me up so I can be slightly taller. Anyway, Approach of the Second Sun, another great way of winning the game. 7 mana for a sorcery. If it has been cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Oh. Otherwise, put it into its owner's library, 7th from the top, and you gain 7 life. So the first time you cast it from your hand... Wait, no. Okay, yeah, so the second time it has to be cast from your hand. Yeah, sorry, confusing card. But the fact that it goes 7 down, well, we should really be able to dig through the deck, get it back, and recast it. And then we win the game. I like combat, you know? Combat's my sort of thing, you know, battle axes, hacking away, blood everywhere. But no, just cast spells. Anyway, another great card for setting at the top of your library and putting Sensei's Divining Top on is Enlightened Tutor. 1 white for an instant, search your library for an artifact or enchantment card and reveal that card. Shuffle your library and put that card on top. Yeah. Sensei's Divining Top is the best card in this deck. Search it up. Together, these cards cost a lot of money. So if you're playing on a budget, just play Sheltering Ancient, you know, 2 mana 5/5 with cumulative upkeep. Then finish off another tutor. This one's nice and cheap though. Elvish Harbinger. 3 mana for a 1/2 elf druid. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an elf card, reveal it, shuffle your library, and put that card on top. And it taps for a mana of any colour. So this is a nice bit of ramp that searches for our devoted druid because it's an elf druid. Really, really great selection there if you want to go into the combo sort of style of deck. And I think this commander really leads you to that because you're going to be digging through the deck anyway. You may as well win the game, I guess. So lots of ways to win the game there. And those are my top 5 selections. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Join me on my journey. I've slightly raised myself up here. I noticed I was hunched down here. But come and join me. And we're going to do this forever. Or until I die. Well, no. It's until I die. But come and join me. Bye. Oh, Christ.